as long as you're not repeating the same mistakes you identify, learning from your life experiences. So, deep breath in, please. Once again, partner moment. Hello, partner. Partner, release your handbrakes. Would you please say to them, partner, release your handbrakes. All right, can I have your attention back again, please? Release your handbrakes. Here's what I mean. Imagine if you were born a Ferrari, which I believe you are, capable of superior performance.
Forever.
The science of NLP,
Forever.
one of the first things they teach is this. There are no unresourceful people. There are only unresourceful states of mind. Do you agree with that statement, yes or no? People can never be labeled unresourceful. It's a state of mind that's unresourceful at a given point of time. You change the state of mind of the individual, he's capable of doing far bigger things. That's what I mean by a handbrake. And the 2 or 3 most powerful handbrakes that are going to stop you from achieving your highest potential, number 1 is the lizard brain. The part of your brain from evolutionary biology that's still there, which always tells you safety number 1, security number 2, look after your basic needs, shut up, sit down, don't speak up. You don't have to be the first one to answer something or do something. Don't take initiative. This is what the lizard tells you. Right. Partner moment, partner. Kill the lizard. Kill the lizard. Now, how do you kill the lizard? How do you kill the lizard? Action. Can I have your attention back again, please? How do you kill the lizard? By action. It's when you step forward to do something.
Forever.
Number 2.
God bless to all. Have prosperous life to all. Forever.
Halo effect.
Forever.
Really well in anything. Stay with me. The halo effect, the light of all of life.
It's like when you go out, you don't have to think about how much something costs, unless it's like a really big purchase.
God of cricket. My friends from India, where are you? Sachin Tendulkar, God of cricket. Right? Or someone else, God of something. I can't be him because he was born in the latest theory. You've heard of some term called growth mindset. Professor Carol Dweck is talking about the growth mindset. She believes no one is best, everyone's born gifted.
Hey everyone, this is Stefa and James from Project Life Mastery, and I'm being joined right now by the beautiful Tatiana James. Today we're going to talk about what it's really like being young millionaires. Now, we've both been blessed to have achieved being millionaires at quite a young age in our 20s. And today we want to share with you what it's really like. And I thought we'd each kind of share what we think are the positives. So all the great things, and a lot of that goes without being said, but I thought it'd be useful for you to hear from us our perspectives of being millionaires now for a number of years. But we also want to share the negatives, the parts of it that we feel, the things that you don't quite know or think about when you're on the pursuit of it, because often you delude yourself thinking everything's going to be great, everything's going to be perfect, and that's not always the case. So we want to share that with you as well. So Tatiana, do you want to first kick it off and share, for you being a millionaire, what were some of the greatest positives that you've experienced so far by being a millionaire?
Well, I'll first say that I didn't know that I was a millionaire until my accountant had gotten back with some information, and I kind of showed Steph, and I was like, hey, does this mean I'm a millionaire now? And he's like, yeah, that does mean.
Yeah, because there's millionaire net worth when you actually determine the net worth of your assets, your money, your investments, all of that, as well as making $1 million a year type of thing too.
Yeah.
So
the point is that I didn't change. My lifestyle didn't change. The way I was living didn't change. It was just that the money in the bank changed. And so that's when I realized I was a millionaire, even though I was still kind of like nothing in my personal life had changed at that point. It was just on paper. So I would say, for me, one of the most valuable things has been that I'm no longer so focused and preoccupied with making money. And that's necessary to do in the beginning. You have to make that a focus. You have to make money important. If you don't think money is important, then you're probably broke. You have to make money an important thing in your life, because what you think is important, you'll have. If you don't think your car is important, you're not going to have a car. If you don't think that your computer computer's important, you're not going to buy a computer. So you have to think that money's important in order to create money and wealth in your life. But at this point now, I don't have to make it my primary focus because my bills are being paid. I've got money in the bank. Like, I'm doing much better financially than, of course, I was a number of years ago. And I've kind of moved from, this survival mode in this hierarchy to a place where I don't have to worry about the fundamentals anymore. When you're just worried about, like, do I have enough money for gas? Do I have enough money to pay my car insurance? Do I have enough money to pay my tuition? Like, that's your whole focus. You're like focused on just making money, saving money, and you're preoccupied with the worries of money. And now I would say one of the biggest luxuries that becoming a millionaire has afforded me is to direct that focus and that energy onto other areas of my life that I would probably argue are equally or more important than money itself, such as my relationships, my spirituality, my health, my physical body, like all of these other areas of life that when you're in survival mode, those are kind of like a second thought. Those are kind of like a luxury in many ways because you're just trying to survive. So I would say like that's been the biggest benefit of it all, because now I find myself like I give myself a lot of time to read books and learn and develop and grow, and grow in many ways that don't necessarily make me money. Whereas before, a lot of my time was focused on like just doing things that can help me make money, versus now I can do things that don't directly make me money, but actually help me grow and evolve as a person and actually help contribute to my fulfillment and happiness.
Yeah, and we've both been in that position where money had to be such a big focus because out of necessity. You have your bills, you have your expenses, in your case, student loan debt. You have all your responsibilities, and it's very challenging being in that mode of survival where, you have to work at your job, in some cases 2 jobs. And, in my case, I had to do construction work on the side and all of that just to get out of debt. And so the stresses and the anxieties that you'd feel around that, for us now that's kind of dissipated, which is amazing. I'd say there's different levels of anxiety and some still problems that you face, which we'll get to a little bit later. But yeah, I can attest to that too, because for me, making money really could allow me to invest more in myself. So I love to invest in courses, go to seminars, hire mentors, get the best supplements for my health, shop at Whole Foods, get the best quality foods for my body. For me, money has allowed me for both of us to accelerate the growth and progress in every other aspect of our life, not only by the actual money itself that can be allocated and invested in those areas, but the mental RAM. Okay, your mental RAM that gets freed up of not being so preoccupied about paying your bills and surviving, it allows your brain to operate at a different level where you can direct your focus and your attention, your energy into other things in your life that are so much more meaningful and help you grow and evolve in many different ways.
And if I can just add to that, one of the reasons why we made it so important to make money is because of our experience. We see our parents, for example, both of us, our parents struggled financially. Both of us, our parents ended up divorced, separated, mainly because of money in the household, always arguing about money, not having enough money, there's so many arguments in the household because of that. Marriages broken apart because of the finances. And even today, when I get on the phone with my mom, she's still always stressed out about money. And it's funny, I'm like, Mom, don't you know, I'm going to take care of you. You don't have to worry about money. But it's still always when that's been part of your blueprint for decades, for 50 years, 60 years, you've always lived kind of in scarcity. It's very hard to make that shift. And actually,
most coaching businesses don't fail because of bad marketing. They fail because of silence. Silence when you have followers but no clients. Silence when your DMs are full of interested people but none convert. And that's not your fault. It's a system problem. Inside my AI Coach Launchpad, I will show you how to build a predictable flow of clients using an automated ecosystem where AI does the heavy lifting for you for nurturing, content, and conversion. Don't let silence kill your business. Click now and join the free live session to build your client attraction system.
The effect of their behavior on his behavior, on his choices. It'll be interesting to watch.
चाचू आप चार्ट्स देख रहे हो कि टेनिस?
पहले चार्ट फिर ऑर्डर फिर चार्ट, ऐसा ही होता है।
अरे ये सब आपके जमाने में होता होगा, आज के जमाने में ट्रेडिंग और एनालिसिस सीधे धन चार्ट्स पे होता है। ये देखो 100+ इंडिकेटर्स है और ऑर्डर्स सीधे चार्ट पे।
पर मल्टी चार्ट्स,
धन चार्ट्स,
ऑप्शन चेन,
धन चार्ट्स,
फोन पे ट्रेडिंग,
अरे धन चार्ट्स यार चाचू।
स्कैल्पिंग,
चाचू
धन चार्ट्स।
एग्जैक्टली।
छोटे तो बड़ा हो गया।
आई नो।
तो फिर तेरी रिश्ते की बात करें।
चाचू इतना भी बड़ा नहीं हुआ मैं।
धन चार्ट्स, जहां एनालिसिस और ऑर्डर एक ही प्लेटफॉर्म पे हो ताकि एक ट्रेडर कभी रुके नहीं।
धन है
तो डन है।
धन मेड फॉर ट्रेड।
Investments in the securities market are subject to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
That actually it's still something that I'm transitioning. You know, for me, I've always been very, I hate to use the word frugal, but in many ways I have been frugal because my dad was always very frugal and I always wanted to not be like that, but I actually see myself, I took on a lot of that. Conservative is a better word because I do like to enjoy
There's benefits. It's smart to be frugal in some ways, but it can also be a detriment if you're just still, kind of cheap.
Yeah. It's definitely served me more in my life than not.
Well, I mean, that's, just kind of talking about how that's been a benefit for you, I guess, or you've been more like that and you haven't yet caught up. It's almost like your brain still thinks that you're still in that mode a few years ago where you're struggling, and the reality is in your bank account is showing otherwise, but it takes, there's kind of like a lag time with that. It takes a while for it to catch up.
Yeah, so in many ways it's been good because it's helped me to save a lot of money, but in other ways it's like, well, Tatiana, you're not in the same position you were 5 years ago. Like, hang loose a little bit, like have fun a little bit, enjoy yourself a little bit more. But my mind is still thinking like, you got to save money. You got to, like, my mom's blueprint, what she taught me growing up is like, you have to save money. We're poor. We can't afford that. Those get embedded into your mindset. And it's very hard to make those shifts. You have to consciously make those shifts. And so it's a work in progress. It doesn't just happen overnight. And so I've noticed myself that although I've become a millionaire, in many ways, my mindset hasn't evolved, and so I have to work on expanding that mindset and changing those beliefs.
Yeah, but it's also a good thing too because you do want to be cautious. You have all this money, you want to be cautious with it. You don't want to there's some people that make all this money, they spend it, they waste it, they blow it away, and they get into trouble with that. So it is good to slowly adapt it over time to slowly spending a bit more, but you don't want to go too extreme too fast because even with the money that you've made, you want to keep it, protect it long term.
And that's why it's actually, like I said, it's actually benefited me more because I'm very conservative with my spending. When I go to the store, it's a great feeling to be like, I can buy whatever I want. I can go to a Louis Vuitton and buy whatever I want, every girl's dream. But I don't because I'm like, I could buy that $4,000 purse, or I could put that money into an investment. I could put it into a stock that pays me dividends and that's going to help me with my financial future and freedom. So it's like that's cool too, to be able to be conservative in that way where you have that self-control with your spending, kind of thinking more long-term.
Yeah, and I'd say for me, my life didn't really change becoming a millionaire. Really what changed my life the most, I've shared this before, is really just making enough passive income where I was free. And for me, that big number was $60,000 a year, $5,000 a month. For me, once I got to a point where I made $5,000 a month on autopilot and I didn't have to do anything to make that money, that's really what produced the biggest change in my lifestyle. Because that really meant at that stage, I could do what I want, when I wanted, whenever I wanted. I had financial freedom. Or I'd say kind of within that range, 60,000 to around 100,000 a year. And there's been some research that shows that once you make it 70,000 a year, your happiness doesn't really go up that much more. So for me, that was the biggest shift in my life, making that amount of money, because I could be my own boss. I had freedom with my time. I could travel, which was something that I valued a lot and still do. I could explore the world, and we have so much over the last few years. I'd say that, that kind of lifestyle made the biggest shift, and that was through having an online business and what that provides. Once I became a millionaire, it didn't really change anything that much in my lifestyle. All it really meant, it was just kind of like a label. And It didn't mean that I was living a millionaire lifestyle because I wasn't spending $1 million. It just meant that my net worth was $1 million. And then I eventually got to the point where I was making $1 million plus per year in my business, pure profit. And even with that, I didn't really upgrade my lifestyle, my expenses to that point. Now, we still have an expensive lifestyle. We have increased it. You know, the home that we're staying in right now in Honolulu is a very expensive apartment right across the street from Ala Moana Beach. And, you know, really, you know, it's not cheap to live the lifestyle that we live and traveling all over the world. And, you know, we allow ourselves to buy certain things, but we're not spending the amount of money that we spend on our lifestyle is still very small in comparison to how much money that we're making and how much money that we have saved and invested. So I would say for me, being a millionaire is really just like a label, and my lifestyle doesn't really reflect that. But I would say the biggest benefits for me have been, I would say that having the freedom really just to buy whatever I want. Like when we go out, we don't have to think about how much something costs. Unless it's like a really big purchase, like a car or like a really high ticket item. But if we go to a restaurant, we can experience the best of what a chef can create. And that's just really cool to experience that art and the highest level of quality of something, of food, for example. Or when you're going to buy clothing, we can buy the highest level of quality that human beings have invented and innovated to create that we can benefit from, as well as not just food and clothes and materialistic things, but travel and experiences that other people have created. We've been able to experience and benefit from, which has been so valuable because it's enhanced our quality of life. You just get more out of the time that you're here on this planet. And I believe you only get one shot. So we want to make this life count. And I want the max experience of it. So that's what money has allowed, is that we can stay at the nicest hotels. I remember, we've stayed at the Ritz-Carlton and just so many incredible luxury experiences that, doesn't really make you happy, but it's like a cool feeling to be able to experience those sort of things in your life and to be able to enjoy them.
Yeah, and I would just say that everyone deserves to have that experience. You all deserve and should make it your goal to eat at the most exclusive, the highest quality restaurant in your state, to give yourself that treat. And I think that, to experience that art, food is an art, especially when you're eating at these restaurants where these chefs, they create something just incredible. It's a masterpiece. You don't even want to eat it. It's so beautiful. But everyone should have that experience in their lifetime. As Stefan said, we live one life on this earth and there's just so much to experience. And money does help you buy a lot of these really incredible experiences and helps you create memories. And ultimately, that's such a beautiful thing. And I think for myself, that's been one of the best uses of my money, is not to spend it on materialistic things, but to actually use it towards creating memories and having amazing experiences, both with Stefan, my friends, my family, doing things that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to afford to do. And in doing so, just being able to bond with people, bond on a different level, and share that experience with other people. Part of the benefits of being rich and being wealthy is to be able to share that with your friends and family and to have those experiences with them. If you're just hoarding it all to yourself, well, that's not very enjoyable. You want to spread the wealth. And I would say, I know we're going to get into later kind of the negatives of it, negatives, but one of the hard parts is also that is trying to draw the line between
Listening to you speak about data science, even I want to make a shift into data science, AI or something like that.
No. A lot of people think that data science, machine learning, and AI are the same.
Okay, wait. Are they not?
They are related but completely different. Before you think of career change, I would say you should understand the relationship between these three and decide which one is right for you.
Okay, understood. But how to do that?
Scalar has a masterclass on this topic. You should check it. They explain their difference really well.
Understood.
आप रिटेल ट्रेडर हो या आप प्रोफेशनल, उसमें एक चीज़ तो क्लियर है कि इंस्टीट्यूशंस और आपके बीच में बहुत बड़ा गैप है. देखिए, इंस्टीट्यूशंस हर ट्रेड
I want to give to my friends and family, and I want to kind of spoil them and give them these experiences. like being able to bond with people, bond on a different level, and share that experience with other people. Part of the benefits of being rich and being wealthy is to be able to share that with your friends and family, and to have those experiences with them. If you're just hoarding it all to yourself, well, that's not very enjoyable. You want to spread the wealth, and I would say, like, I know we're going to get into later kind of the negatives of it, if negatives, but one of the hard parts is also that is trying to draw the line between, I want to give to my friends and family, and I want to kind of spoil them and give them these experiences, but I also don't want to overstep, and I don't want to kind of, it's hard to navigate that field a little bit, because I also don't want to be giving so much that they feel like, oh, well, they're not able to give back in the same way, or
you feel obligated.
I also don't want to disrespect them, especially with family. Like in my culture, like, giving some family member money, especially if they're older than you, it's like not a good thing in many ways, and it can be seen as disrespectful. But at the same time, like, here I am in such a great position that financially I want to give and I want to help. What better use of my money than to help my own bloodline? But in many ways, it's like I can't necessarily do that because it's considered disrespectful in many ways.
For sure. Yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit, but I'd say, that's kind of like a high quality problem to have. But I find just the fact that I'd say that what's been so rewarding for us is being able to contribute and being able to give. And we've been involved, as many of you guys know, in building schools all over the world, but specifically in Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, in India and Ecuador and different countries, building houses for families too, and actually going on these trips and these experiences. And that's also really rewarding too, because the money that you make, you can put it to such good use. And it's good to enjoy your money because you worked hard for it, and you kind of have to reward yourself, and that can even be a little bit of a motivator for you too, to kind of make sure that you can still receive and enjoy and celebrate in different ways that might be a little bit selfish, but also balancing that with contributing, giving to your church, giving to different causes around the world. And when you put things in perspective, when you buy a Rolex or something like that, this could do so much more for someone else. This could build a school, and it's great to enjoy, what this can provide, which is more of a symbol, is the way I look at it. It's a symbol of success and accomplishment to feel proud. But for both of us, I think we're always putting in perspective as much as we can. And of course, we could always do more, but giving and realizing how much further that money can go by helping other people around the world. One thing I love from Andrew Carnegie, he said, I spend the first half of my life making as much money as possible, and then the second half of my life giving it all away. And that's a great model, I think, because I think when you're first making this money, you want to enjoy, the benefits that it provides, maybe buying those things that might be more materialistic items, but that eventually wears off, and you get so much more impact and meaning and fulfillment through contributing and helping others. And that's something that we've stepped into, but I really see later as we get older, that's going to be more of a passion and a role of ours, especially being a philanthropist, getting involved in different charities and things like that too.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, you also want to reward yourself, and you don't have 12 Rolexes, but you've built 12 houses. That's you kind of have to put it into perspective. But the way I see it is that in many ways I have been so blessed, and just the fact that I was born in Canada, the fact that I was just like God has blessed me, or I've been lucky, if you will. And I know that there are people all around the world who don't have the same opportunities as me, who don't even have access to the internet. I wouldn't have been able to build my business and become a millionaire had I not had access to the internet. And we've been to places in Ethiopia and Kenya where they don't have access to the internet. In fact, I have a kid from Kenya who we taught a class in Kenya. We taught them about online business.
Try to explain to them what Amazon is, what YouTube is, and things like that.
We were trying to teach them about what's to come in the next 5 years, because in about 5 years they will have access to the internet more widely. And so we were trying to kind of share this opportunity with them, and we gave them all our email addresses. And I had 2 kids that several months later reached out to me saying that they want to build an online business, but it's so much harder for them because in order to just get access to the internet, they have to walk 2 hours to get to school. There's one computer in the school that they have to share between all of the kids and the teachers. So, I mean, it's just like very obvious that, you know, of course I've had opportunities that other people don't have. So for me, I feel it's almost like it's an obligation to give back. You know, God has given me so much and can take away, and I need to share this wealth with people who haven't had the fortune that I've had in my life. And so it's very rewarding to be able to not selfishly just hold on to all of this, but to also give it back, especially to people who don't have the same access as you, don't have the same opportunities as you, would love to, are hard workers, are eager. Like these kids that we met in Kenya at the Kitsurini school, these are the smartest kids ever. Like they speak fluent English, they're
Work
super
so
intelligent.
hard. They have to walk
They'd be
hours to go to
way
school.
more successful than me if they were in my position, no doubt. So yeah, I mean that's a huge element of it.
For sure. And I'd say another benefit before we move to the negatives, I look at money as a tool, and one of the greatest benefits it provides is that it allows you to buy more of your time. And time is the most valuable thing that we all have. It's a depreciating asset. You can't get more of it. But what money allows you to do is the things that you're spending your time doing that are not the best use of your time or not the most rewarding or the smartest uses of your time, you can hire other people to do those things for you. So we have an assistant, Darina, who's awesome. She makes her life so much easier. There's so many things that we would normally have to do, planning our travel and our trips, other communication and appointments and all the different kind of complexities that you have in life. She takes care of that for us. And that's huge because an average person doesn't have that luxury. In the same way we have, we don't really clean, we tidy up around the house, but we don't, clean the toilets and things like that. We have someone that does that stuff for us. For food, we get meals delivered to us, or we have a chef. In Panama, we had a chef for a while. And so these sort of things that money can allow you to free up your time throughout the week. And so the average person might spend 10 hours, 20 hours of their week doing these everyday things that don't really move the needle that much in their life. They don't really bring in more money. And of course, nobody really wants to do those things. If you had the choice between, having to clean and cook or whatever, and you had the option instead to read books, to go to the gym, to spend time with friends, with family, you'd most likely do friends, family, go to the gym, work on your health, learn more things, because that's going to benefit you in your life so much more than just kind of the maintenance stuff that you might do around the house. So I'd say that's one of the greatest benefits is for us, we've kind of freed ourselves from a lot of the things that a lot of people have to do. And that's also what allows us to grow even further in our lives, not just financially, but every other aspect of our lives. As well as, I look at, one thing that Jim Rohn said, one of our mentors, who said, make it a goal in your life to be a millionaire, to make $1 million, not for the money, but for who you become in the process. And that's something I really value, is that in the process of becoming a millionaire, some people, they don't like millionaires. They have this negative belief system around them. And sure enough, they'll never become a millionaire if they have these negative beliefs that millionaires are greedy and bad or whatever it is. You'll just never become that if that's what you believe they are. But I look at a millionaire as someone that's added value in some way, shape, or form. They've contributed. They've created an idea, a business, or an investment. They've made a contribution, and therefore they've received millions of dollars in exchange for that. So there's someone that's contributed. There's someone that has innovated and stepped outside the box in some way. There's someone that employs other people, provides jobs and security for them. There are people that work incredibly hard because they're not going to become a millionaire if you don't work hard. There's all these qualities. They're often confident. They're leaders. There's certain qualities of that. And in the pursuit of becoming a millionaire, it forces you to become more of that. It forces you to become more of a giver. It forces you to become more confident. It forces you to become a harder worker, smarter worker, better at innovating things, more organized. All of these great positive qualities that you acquire in the pursuit of becoming a millionaire. And so I think that's really what makes someone like a millionaire attractive. It's not just their money, but it's all the attributes and characteristics that make up who that person is. And yeah, there's some people that have stolen and, frauds and things like that. But I'm talking about people that have actually earned it and provided value in the pursuit of becoming that. And so for both of us, we've been able to grow in so many different ways in our life, not just with our time, but we're, for example, next year we're going to do BioCybernaut, and that's like a $15,000 neurofeedback experience, and going to Tony Robbins seminars, which are some cases like $10,000. All these experiences, it helps us grow so much faster, and that results not just in more wealth, but every other area of our life, our relationship, everything improves dramatically because of that, just that core foundation of having money. If you're smart with that money and you invest it wisely in your future, but also in yourself, everything in your life will improve. And that's, I think, one of the greatest benefits that we both experienced.
Yeah, and I would just, say that
Access the Shopify dashboard and go to the product section. Now you're going to click on add product. You're going to need to fill in the product information. This next part is really where Shopify Magic comes in handy. You are going to just click on the small star icon and write in a few keywords. Next, you click generate and it's going to write the description for you. Another really cool feature that Shopify Magic has is that it can create AI generated backgrounds for your images. This really levels up the average iPhone photo of your product if you can't get professional photography just quite yet. Scroll down and make sure to set the stock quantity. Basically, how much of the item you actually have available. Now you've officially set up your physical products.
इक्वेंटिस, यहाँ आपको शेयर मार्केट के टिप्स नहीं मिलेंगे, पैसा डबल करने की स्कीम नहीं मिलेगी। तो आप सोच रहे होंगे मिलेगा क्या? हाई ग्रोथ स्टॉक्स, रिसर्च बेस्ड एडवाइस के साथ 20+ years ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट एक्सपीरियंस इन मार्केट्स और AI बेस्ड रिसर्च से मिलता है आपको एक हाई ग्रोथ स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो। तो ज्वाइन कीजिए 1 million+ रजिस्टर्ड यूजर्स को एंड जुड़िए इक्वेंटिस के साथ। 4.6 स्टार रेटेड बाय thousands ऑफ इन्वेस्टर्स ऑन गूगल रिव्यूज। टिप्स नहीं, सॉलिड रिसर्च बेस्ड एडवाइस। आखिर आपकी मेहनत की कमाई है, कोई लॉटरी थोड़ी। इक्वेंटिस, इंडिया स्टॉक एडवाइजर।
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
Whether it is your inner voice or hello, we haven't nurtured the inner voice. So the value system will nurture your inner voice.
Having money is just going to exaggerate what you already are. So if you are a greedy person, it's going to exaggerate that greed. If you're a generous person, it's going to exaggerate that. Money in itself is not good or bad. So if you're holding on to this belief that money is a certain thing, you're giving it a label, you're saying that, money is the root of all evil, those type of things, yet you're never going to have money in your life, because if you believe that money is evil, you're going to try and stay as far away from that as possible. So it's also being very aware of what those beliefs are that you're holding about money. Really realizing that money in and of itself is neutral. It's not anything. It's not good. It's not bad. It's whatever you make it to be. And even in the Bible, I know that a lot of times people think that, you shouldn't be rich, you should live very modestly. But in the Bible, it says that the love of money is where the danger lies. To obsess with money, to make money your God, to idolize money, that's where it becomes dangerous. And that's where we also we're very conscious of that. We don't... In the Bible, it says that the love of money is where the danger lies. To obsess with money, to make money your God, to idolize money, that's where it becomes dangerous. And that's where we also we're very conscious of that. We don't idolize money. We see that money's a tool and we want more of it because we can do really great things with it. But money is not everything. Money is not our God, and we don't have the love for money. And that's, I think, one of the things that can be dangerous as you become wealthy. If you don't have that self-awareness, then you can start kind of worshiping money and have this greed for money. When you have money, you start to want more money, and it pulls you through this dark path. Not dark path. It pulls you through a different direction in life that oftentimes is not going to contribute to your fulfillment. Because if you're just slaving away to make more money just for the sake of having more money, just piling it up, and eventually it's going to go with you to your grave, well, that's not necessarily going to contribute to your lives or anyone around you.
Yeah, and just to transition now into the negative, that was one of the things I was going to say, is that, to become a millionaire, for a lot of people, not everybody, but to become a millionaire for myself, and I think for you too, we had to make that as a goal and a vision, and we had to make that so important inside our heads. We had to make it the most important thing in our lives at one point, because you have to make it that important in order to go through the sacrifices, to invest the time, the energy. You almost have to believe and delude yourself that by becoming a millionaire or achieving this goal, your life's going to change and you're going to be so much happier and your life's going to be perfect. And you kind of have to delude yourself a little bit into that, right? To get there, to take the actions that are necessary to get there. But really in the back of your mind, you kind of know, it's not really going to make you happy, but you kind of have this fantasy, this expectation. And I'd say once you get to that point, you realize that wasn't what you expected. It wasn't, your life's not perfect. You still have problems. You're not really that much happier. Of course, you get these great benefits, but even with anything new, you take it for granted after a while. So it might be cool for the first bit, but after years go by, you just take for granted that you got this car, you live in this place, that you have this money, that you can do this, you can do that. It doesn't really do the same thing for you. But what you have to be careful with, as Tatiana was alluding to, is the greed that can still continue, is that at that point you have to release the attachment towards money. You have to release making money to end all be all and that important. And you have to rebalance your life now, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs or wealthy people that I know, they're continuously pursuing more. And that's the mantra of the ego. It's something that Wayne Dyer says, more is the mantra of the ego. It never will fulfill you. So when you're always pursuing money, as I see a lot of people do, they are continuing to sacrifice in their life, spending less time with their kids, spending less time with their loved ones, spending less time with their friends, on their health, things that matter, with God. And they continuously put their foot on their gas to pursue more money at the expense of all else. And I think that's very dangerous. I think that can lead to an overly inflated ego. I think remaining humble along the journey and having humility is very important. And just being careful when you have to make it important to a certain point, but remind yourself once you get there, like, hey, money is just a means to an end. It's not the end all be all. That this money is designed to create freedom for our life. It's designed to now have the freedom to spend more time in our lifestyle and enjoying ourselves and really enjoying what life can provide, and to focus on those areas of life that will really bring fulfillment for you, because money is not. If you just make more money, it's just more money in your bank account. It's more real estate properties you have. It's more stocks that you own. Maybe it's more houses, more cars, but even that, it's like a car is still a car and a house is still a house. It's really not going to do that much for you once you already have one. Having 2, 3, 4, 5 isn't really going to make that much more of a difference for you at a certain point. So you've got to remind yourself of that and not get so carried away in the greed, because money is so powerful. You've got to remind yourself of that and I think have that perspective at a certain point to balance your life and to refocus yourself on what truly matters in your life.
One thing that the benefit of having money is that you've heard the saying, the rich get richer. And there is truth to that, right? When you have money, it becomes easier to make more money because you can put the money that you have to work. You can actually use your money to make more money, which is really cool. Like that's the way you can make passive income, right? If you invest that money, you can invest it into stocks that appreciate in value, dividends that you get paid out every quarter. Really a cool concept. But you don't want to fall into the misconception that it takes money to make money. If you think that you need money in order to become a millionaire, or you need money in order to become rich, that is not an empowering belief, nor is it true. I'm sure you could even point out in your life people that you know who started from nothing that now live a relatively wealthy lifestyle, or at least a middle-class lifestyle. We have hundreds of millions of immigrants that come from all over the world and that settle here with nothing. And they don't come with any kind of furniture. They don't come with money. They just come with the clothes on their backs, and they're here and they're working hard. And you know what? They build a life for themselves, and they can become wealthy, they can become successful, and they do become successful. And what it takes is not money, it takes creativity. So don't think that you need money to make money. No, you need creativity. So swap those two words, but also understand that yes, once you make money, you can decide what you do with that money, right? A lot of people, when they become millionaires, they just want to spend all their money. You see this with celebrities, basketball players. It's exciting to make all this money and they want to spend it all, and then they lose all that money. But what you could do is, when you earn that money, you could actually use it to make more money, which helps you to achieve your financial freedom in the future. So that's a really important concept, I think, to just kind of remind yourself of, although we all kind of already know it.
Yeah. Yeah, it just accelerates things so much faster once you have money. Because your investments, everything that you have, it's just growing while you're doing nothing. And that's where it can really compound even faster. And that's what we've noticed. It takes a long time to become a millionaire, but once you go from a millionaire to having $2 million, it's like way faster, then 2 to 3 million way faster, 4 to 5, way faster, and it just accelerates even faster.
Yeah, it's the same thing with your business. If you guys are selling on Amazon, that's my niche. We talk about Amazon a lot. Like for me to make $50,000 a month in revenue took me a while. But then to go from 50 to 100,000, far less time. From 100,000 to 400,000 a month, far less time. So when you build the foundation of something and you start seeing that initial success, then success breeds success and the compound effect starts taking place. There's a good book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I recommend you read it. And you understand the power of compounding in your business, in your investments, all of it. So it's really a powerful tool. And I would say one more thing about kind of a negative of just kind of becoming a millionaire is that it can be a little bit more challenging to make friends. At least that's been my experience. I can't speak for everyone, of course.
Authentic friends.
Authentic friends, yes. And I...
भैया ये शेयर तो रॉकेट है वैसे कन्विक्शन तो है पर भैया कैश थोड़ा सा
I find it just that, Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I recommend you read it. And you understand the power of compounding in your business, in your investments, all of it. So it's really a powerful tool. And I would say one more thing about kind of a negative of just kind of becoming a millionaire is that it can be a little bit more challenging to make friends. At least that's been my experience. I can't speak for everyone, of course.
Authentic friends.
Authentic friends, yes. And I find it just that, I kind of stick to my group of people because I found that when people know who I am and they know my YouTube channel and they know what I do, they know that I'm a millionaire, I start to see like an energy shift and the dynamic changes between us. And I don't want that. Oftentimes when I meet people for the first time, Stefan's like this as well, I never talk about myself. I don't talk about what I do. I try and avoid that topic because I just want to have a genuine conversation, just like two strangers getting to know each other. And in many ways, like, yes, I'm withholding information, but I just want to see like who this person is. And in many ways, I have a little bit of a guard up now when I meet people. And it's unfortunate. I need to work on that, I know. But it's because I've had the experience where I get to meet someone and I'm friends with someone and I start to realize that they're only friends with me because they want to learn from me. They're only friends with me because they want to go for lunch with me and grill me with questions and interview me on how I built my business and how it became successful. And I love to share. For me, I'm like always open. I'm always sharing. I'm transparent. But it starts to become repetitive. And you start to see this pattern where it's like, oh, wow, they only want to be my friend because I can help them become successful. They think I can help them become successful, but really only they can help themselves become successful. Or they want to be around me because I'm a millionaire and, whatever that makes them feel important or whatever it is. So it can be a bit more challenging to find authentic friendships, I find.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you want people to like you for you, right? It's like a celebrity. When they meet people already know that they're a celebrity, so people treat them differently. And I think nobody wants to be treated like that. I mean, maybe some people do that are really in their ego and just kind of love that attention, I guess, that it brings. But for us, I think we both enjoy hanging out with our older friends because they don't look at us as millionaires. They just look at us as Stefan and Tatiana, and they just treat us as they've always treated us. And that's kind of what you want. You don't want people to treat you differently and have that different energy kind of shift with that. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that. And I'd find that your friends change because as we've grown, the people that we're also interested in spending time with is a little bit different now too, because we want to relate and connect with other people that are also doing well in their lives, or they're also inspirational. They're into self-improvement. They're into health. They're into fitness. They're into spirituality, all these different topics that we can relate and connect. And they don't, people that are already maybe successful, they don't treat you differently. They're not as impressed by it because they've, they're there themselves too. So I think that's a key thing is the quality of people, and that could be a positive too, right? Because you're attracting, like the people that we've met and spent time with and connected with have been incredible people as a result of that too. But yeah, just being cautious of that can be a challenging thing. The other thing that I wanted to share too is, and this kind of sounds really weird to say this, but it's the truth, for us at least, is once you become a millionaire, you almost feel like $1 million is not a lot of money. And I know how crazy that sounds and how weird that sounds because I would have never believed it myself. But what I mean by that is it's all relative to context. And so for us, like once we made $1 million, we're like, okay, great, this is awesome. But when you look at buying a house, you're like, oh shit, like we live in, from Vancouver, you can't buy a house for $1 million in Vancouver. $1 million, like it's one of the most expensive places for real estate in the world. Same thing in Los Angeles. So when you look at like, hey, like in downtown Vancouver, I want to own like a 2-bedroom apartment, 1,500 square feet. Well, that's going to maybe cost you $2-3 million in some cases, right? If you look at, I want to have a nice big house, then that's going to be a couple $1 million. And so I would say that when it comes to buying a house, you realize, man, $1 million is not quite what it was. And with inflation, you got to keep that in mind. $1 million, like I remember when I was a kid, $1 million like in the 90s was obviously worth a lot different than what $1 million is today. So that is kind of one thing that is kind of interesting. Now, with everything else that you want to buy, food, travel, clothing, your $1 million will go a long way. But when it comes to buying houses and real estate, it's a very different experience with that, especially as I'd say your vision and your lifestyle of what you kind of want and the vision for that kind of changes too. So you kind of realize just having $1 million, great, but you need a couple $1 million if you really want to have a nice home and have maybe 2 cars, like nice new cars. Obviously, if you want like a sports car, Lamborghini, Ferraris, $250,000 or so. So, things like that, big ticket things. And I'd also say too, it's also relative to your life too. So a lot of people, I'd say, they make millions of dollars perhaps, but oftentimes that money is often kind of generated in a certain time frame. Like usually you might have a big run, professional athletes, celebrities, they might have like a big movie hit or they might have like a good contract, but you got to keep in mind with this money that you've made, you don't know if you're going to always be making millions of dollars every year, right? So you got to be smart with it too. Even for us as YouTubers and being influencers and building our businesses, if you build your business and you sell it, you don't, you might sell it for $1 million, but you don't know. You can't just start living your lifestyle and just, and spending all that money because you got to think this money might have to last me for the next 40, 50, 60 years and maybe for my kids. And yes, you want to invest it and not touch it so that it grows. And I think that's another important thing too. You got to keep in mind is that when you just make this money, it's not like I'm a millionaire and now I have this millionaire lifestyle. No, you got to be smart enough with your money to look at it and say, listen, this has got to last me for the rest of my life. If I continue to make more money every year, great. I can slowly upgrade my lifestyle, my expenses, and enjoy more of it. But you do have to factor in the security and be smart about the rest of your life because this money, you might not always be making this same amount of money forever. I don't know what could happen with YouTube, with Amazon, with all these different things. Not that I'm expecting any of it to go away, but you still got to be smart enough with it and plan it out for the long term.
Yeah, it's funny. In 2014, I had printed out a check, like this fake check from Google.
This money, you might not always be making this same amount of money forever. I don't know what could happen with YouTube, with Amazon, with all these different things. Not that I'm expecting any of it to go away, but you still got to be smart enough with it and plan it out for the long term.
Yeah, it's funny. In 2014, I had printed out a check, like this fake check from Google Images, and I cut it out and I stuck it up on my wall and I put in $1 million, Tatiana, and that was kind of like what I was working towards. I thought that if I made $1 million, that would be like, I'm set for life. I was kind of deluded about that. Now I wish I put an extra zero there, or extra two zeros with inflation, as you were saying. But
also the reality is like $1 million every year that goes by with inflation, it becomes worth less and less. right? So really, 20 years from now, $1 million is
That's
not
why
gonna be the
cash
same
is
thing.
not. It's not really good to sit on a bunch of cash. It's better to invest that.
For sure. Have it appreciate even faster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think that wraps up this.
Well, I'd just say one more before we wrap up. I'd say that when you have more money, like I mentioned, like you can, you build a team of people and you have more investments and things like that. But I'd say the last thing that I've noticed has been you still have anxiety around money. You can still have stress around money. You can still have scarcity around money. That doesn't always go away. In fact, in some cases, now you have a bigger responsibility. For us, we have the responsibility of managing this money, investing this money, learning about investing this money, being smart with this money. And that produces a level of pressure on yourself. When you employ people, you have an assistant, and for me, I've got 15 or so employees or contractors that depend on me, right? That I provide for them their livelihood, and that adds a level of responsibility. Can give some pressure and stress too. Even having, if you want, multiple houses and all those sort of things. So that can also complicate your life and add different layers of stress. There's still, great problems to have, of course, but that's just one thing that is important to understand is that